Alright, hello everybody! So today I am going to be drawing another dragon! Woohoo! So here we go. I always like to start with the nose, usually. I find that this is an easier method for me, at least. I like to start with either drawing the eye sometimes, or starting with kind of the forehead going into the snout. Because then I feel like I can really scout out where the rest of the features are going to be more easily. I don't know if it's the same for anybody else, but this is what I like to start with. So again, there is my rough idea for the eye, and I'm gonna zoom in here so I can get more details. Yay! Alrighty, now for the eye pupil. There we go. So I'm gonna have the dragon looking kind of to the side. I'm gonna erase some of these more messier lines and make a little bit of kind of a beak on the dragon. I'm gonna have kind of a sharper beak like that, and kind of this, like, sharper, I don't know what to call it, this kind of sharper, toothy smile kind of thing. Even though I don't think that these would be the teeth, I kind of like that little shape for the mouth. I think that's kind of cute. It shows more of like a crooked smile. Now for the bottom jaw, and I'm gonna curve this out just a little bit. Finish up the nose like that. I kind of like the actual rounder noses. Like if I went like this, like those are the nostrils, and this is kind of like a 3D nose in a way. I like the nose kind of as a separate thing on the dragon, so I always like to kind of put this line here on the top to try my best to indicate that. Now, I usually like to put some form of cheek fur or spikes on the cheeks of the dragons. Oh, and, you know, why not? Why not I add a couple little teeth here and there? I think that's gonna be very interesting. The dragon eyebrows are next. I just kind of like drawing what I feel should come next in the sequence. Not necessarily a strategic order, even though in the beginning I usually like to start with a certain feature, just so I can plan out where the rest of the features are, because if I started with like a nose, then I don't really know where the eye is gonna go specifically, but that's me. Now I am going to figure out what style of ear I want for the dragon, so what am I going to do? I think I'm gonna have a big fan ear, so I'm gonna have a long little finger-like things like this. So I'm gonna have maybe just 3 of them, and then I'm gonna have a little fins on each of these. And I want them to have a little bit more detail on them too, so I'm gonna give them some little lines and some little fissures or something, whatever you'd call these little little dip-ins that are like this. So if the ears are like that, there's kind of an opening here where there is not any ear. I feel like that adds a little bit of detail to it. Next, I am going to go ahead and start the horns. So this I want to actually be the same kind of scales as the rest of the dragon's face, so that the horns can kind of stick out of those. So I'm going to draw just the little bumps where I'm going to have the different segments. I want to do the bumps so that in case I just start drawing a smooth horn on the dragon, I find it a little bit easier for me to plan out where exactly these little lines are going to go, if my drawing pen will actually work. Oh my goodness, thank you. Again, I just like making some little illusion of the shape and the roundness of each different segment having their own different roundness on the horns. I really like that. So I like to add that in. Next I am going to finish the dragon's forehead, and I'm actually going to put a big fins on the top of its head. Instead of kind of fur, which I would usually go for, or spikes, I want to do kind of a similar style to the ears. So, here we go. Here we go. Just like that. And I guess I can add some more lines down here just to show the roundness and shape like usual. Maybe a little horn on the tip of his nose like that. And let me zoom out and see what we have. Oh my goodness. I love it. I love it. This is turning out very good in my opinion. Oh my gosh. Next for the other horn in the back. And I am going to then start on the dragon's neck. So, I'm gonna get this kind of more pointed chest for the dragon. And kind of his wing is gonna come over here. I like to just roughly sketch out slightly where I want the more prominent features. So, I want the wings to be folded. So what I'm gonna do is I am going to just draw out here where I want these to really be. So I kind of want the wing to come out like this. This is going to be kind of the inside of it, so I'm going to put a little curve right there. The muscle, and maybe a little claw. Yeah, maybe a little claw. I'll put a little claw on that. I want a bigger eraser because I'm finding myself not being able to erase as much as I want. So there we go, and that kind of would connect it to the wings. Next, I am going to do the scales on the underside of the dragon's neck. So these I am going to have kind of as like big plates of scales right here. Oh, I also want to continue the ridge for the back of his neck, which is the same as what is on his forehead right there. And maybe his other wing will be kind of in a slightly different position than the other one. Yeah, I guess like that. I don't think that's perfect, but I think it'll do. And so like that. Of course, when I zoomed in, I have a lot better detail and I guess cleanness to the lines that I'm working on. I do like that. But when I start to zoom out on the picture like this, then I want to start adding more details to make it up. Because sometimes I don't want to zoom in and fix every little thing that I don't think is perfect. See, I really like what is right here. But in order to add more detail, I'm thinking of a way that I can emphasize some more detail that would be on the face, but also to this part of the dragon. So I'm gonna go with some scales so that the eyes have a little bit more to look at, other than just the dragon's neck and its two wings. I want some more features, so when I'm looking at the face, I'm seeing all sorts of different things, like its expression, the horns, the this and that, the ears, the cheek fur, and I feel like it's all nice and compact with new ideas, but this sort of area I don't feel like has enough detail for my own liking. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fix that. What I really like is to be able to look at something for more than like a couple seconds to be able to appreciate what it's showing. So I can really look at the face and expression of the dragon and admire the different features, but when I look over here, I'm not very intrigued. So I think scales might give myself as the artist a little bit more personally to really admire. So I'm just kind of doing some random kind of oval shaped half circle scales. Why do I keep picking the wrong color? Oh no! But here we go, here we go. once I get these, see, I don't think I'm going to be coloring them individually, so if they aren't perfect, I think that is fine. I do not really need them or want them to be perfect. I want them to be kind of more rough, like, you know, but I do want them to follow the shapes of the dragon's features. So the wing muscle that I'm drawing right now, where the wing connects to the dragon's body, I want to kind of make it look like it's rounded a bit more than the other features. So I'm going to try my best to curve the scales downward. So these scales are facing a different direction than those. So yeah, there we go. And now I'm going to face them a little bit more downwards as the wing moves down. I want the scales to look like they are more flexible than just stiff. I don't want them to look stiff. I want them to look flexible on the dragon. Trying to imagine how the dragon would move if it were a 3D animated model or in real life, I suppose, which I don't know if I'm completely getting that, but you know, it's art. I like this style, so you know what, I can do the best I can to make it appeal to me. There we go. So I think that's fine, but what doesn't look quite right to me is that there's scales on the rest of the body, but not the head. So I don't want really scales here and there. So on his nose, I'm actually going to make a line so that the top of his face versus the bottom of his face does or does not have scales, just so that I can copy over this feature so it doesn't look like I have a dragon that has the head of a different dragon and the body of a different dragon. I want there to be a little bit more consistency in this one, so even if there's not scales on the full face of the dragon here, I want to be able to add some of them. So I'm trying to think of the right placements for them. So I felt like having a line separating the two might actually look interesting. So here I'm testing that. There. And I actually kind of like that. It feels like this is the line that goes down, like if it continued down there. So yeah, but the wings now. This is where I need to think, because the wings are not... I think the wings need a little bit more to... I don't know. The same thing I wanted here. I wanted something interesting to look at. So, again, I am going to put some scales on the wings. Just some. I don't think I'm going to go all the way down the wings. And I'm actually going to have the scales kind of part into only a few, and then fewer, and then fewer. I feel like that gives a little bit more detail into it. So the scales are going to come up the side of the wing, and then they're going to kind of reach over here. And then once I start drawing them a lot more clustered, I'm going to start to spread them out a little bit better so that they kind of fan out, like they're just dispersing, I guess. That's the word that I might be looking for. They're dispersing the scales. So there we go. We have a dragon here. And I am going to sign it. Woohoo! But now, that is not complete to me. This is not how I want to end the video. Of course, I love the line art. I think this looks great, but something else that I am going to need is... I want to color in the dragon. So how I am going to do that is I need to think of a color, which I'm going to go with green. I feel like I want a green dragon now. So I'm going to just start coloring some of the features of the dragon. I feel like these main set of scales would be green, and then have different shades of green for the rest. So, oh my goodness! I love this so far! I love it when I love my art. Sometimes I can be picky about it, but this time, you know, I'm accepting it as what it is, and I really actually like it. There's things that if I did this again, I think I could do better. But again, I'm happy with it, and I'm happy that I'm happy with it. You know what I mean? I like to embrace my artwork. So here we go. Now for the scales, I am actually going to just roughly color in the tips of the wings with the same color, but then I want to fan out into a different color. So over here, I want to take a slightly smaller brush, and I am going to actually color in the inside webbing of the ears to be a lot lighter of a shade. I guess this looks a little bit more yellower to me than green, but I feel like it also works. I kind of like it. So over here, there we go. The ear comes down here, but I don't want to get this too much on the cheek fur. If I go a little bit out of the lines, I think that's fine. But there we go. And then maybe the eye can be a similar color. And then maybe even, let's see, blue eyes? How does blue eyes look? See, I'm just kind of experimenting with this. I came into this video not really knowing exactly how I'm going to draw this. But, you know, I'm just going with what I feel looks right at the time, and this is how I like to create things like this. I feel like I'm not being too strict with myself with the art, and I really like this, so I'm just going with it. So I feel like a blue eye looks good, so I might keep that. Then I feel like a pink nose would actually be kind of cute. So I'm going to give the dragon a pink nose. There we go. Get a little bit different color in here. I'm going to go for a more darker shade of green. And I am going to start... Oh, I need a smaller brush for this. I'm going to start coloring some parts of the scales a darker color so that I can compare the two as two different sets of scales in a way. I want them to look like they're kind of like different layers of the dragon's armor. So I'm going to color the first top area with this darker green and maybe put that also on the little claws on the wings right here, a little bit of that. And I'm going to blend it into the other color with some spots. So I don't want these to be too harsh of transitions, so I'm going to try my best to make that look a little bit less harsh by adding a transition to it. So not necessarily blending, I don't really want to blend the color for it, or blur the colors. I just want them to kind of go into each other with a pattern. So I'm going to go with some dots. And the same here, I'm going to have some scales on the wings, a slightly different shade of green, just kind of blending down, and there we go. I feel like I have a good transition for this piece. At least in my opinion. I'm trying to have this piece appeal to my own personal liking, so it might not be the same as anybody else. Or maybe it is for some people, I don't know. But I'm doing what I think feels right for the drawing, so this kind of blending I really like. Alright, next I am going to find a color for the inside scales, and I just want to see first if this same color as this, if that's the same color, please be, looks right, or if I could find maybe a darker tone. So I'm just gonna see. It won't be too big of a deal if I want to change it. I actually kind of like that. And I'm gonna do the same lighter color for the inside of the wing here. There we go. And maybe for the frill. Actually, the frill might work with a different color. But I want to color in the horns first. So I want a very dark contrasting color for the dragon's horns. So with all these green tones, I want to have a different tone here, something that stands out a lot more bolder on top of it. So if I can make the horns a very darker color, as well as possibly having it somewhere else on the piece, so that I'm not just looking at the horns themselves, I'm gonna put that same color on the claws, and maybe on here too. So it's in different places, and maybe even have some speckly patterns down here. There we go. Yeah, yeah. And maybe I can also make the eyebrows that color. I forgot to color in the eyebrows. Next, I'm going to go with a darker color for the background horn. So this one I want to be shadowed by the other one. Yeah, I think this is coming out good. So, what I want for the back frill is to have a different color green. So I'm going to have an even darker, slightly different shade of green, green frill. I want a couple different greens. So I have this green, that greenish yellow, and this green. Maybe not only 2 different colors, so I'm going to have just a few. So there we go. Once I color this in, just like that, then I might start working on the shading. We'll have to see. And once that happens, then I can continue down the back of this, and the shading and the background color are also things that I want to do with this piece. So, there we go. I am really happy with this drawing so far. Like, oh my goodness. I honestly didn't think I would like it this much. But, you know, I surprise myself sometimes. I'm very happy with this. Oh my goodness! It appears that I forgot to color in this part of the wings. So, what I'm gonna end up doing is picking, where is my picking the color button? There it is. Thank you. I'm just gonna end up coloring these the same color all the way through. I thought at first that I wasn't going to do that, but then I ended up changing my mind. So there we go. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make another layer for the shading, and I'm gonna try to make sure that it's not, I'm gonna use a clipping group so that this isn't going to go outside of what I drew, just to make the process easier for myself, so that I'm not going outside of the lines, at least not on the outside. So there we go. There's some shading. I want some shading in here, maybe not some extreme shading, but there we go. There's some different shades for this color. And once I do that, I'm just going to add a little bit of different tones here and there on the piece, just so that there's more things to look at, more different ideas. There we go. I don't even think this needs too much more shading. There we go. I'm going to shade some of the inside of the wings. Sorry, my drawing tablet is making squeaking sounds. Please stop that, drawing tablet. I don't want any squeak. Stop! I don't want squeaky sounds. What is on the tablet? What is on the tablet? Goodness, you guys get to hear my conversation with my drawing tablet. Of course. And maybe a little bit of different color on the bottoms of these big scale plates. Scale plates, I guess that's what I'm gonna call them. And I'm gonna go with a lighter color for this, for each of the segments of the horns. The horns aren't my favorite, but I guess they'll have to do. There we go. Next, I am also going to, this is going to also be kind of a clipping group. So I am going to go with a shade, and I am going to pick maybe a blue color. The airbrush, a very, very light amount of density, density. And just kind of give a shadow on the other side. I'm going to kind of take my drawing tablet further back so that it's not making as much noise as it would. I'm actually going to turn the density up a tiny bit just so that I can get a little bit quicker with this. Get in the cracks a little bit more. Get the shading, the big portion of the shading more complete. There we go. I'm going to have some shading back there and here, and maybe some right there. I'm just adding some details here and there, and then I'm actually going to turn that down slightly, and then also go ahead and go with more of a luminosity effect for this side. So I'm going to have some kind of illumination of light towards this side of the dragon's features. So kind of these scales are going to be lit up a little bit, or maybe a lot. I don't know. The horns, just some features that I feel need to look a little bit more brighter. So like this. Yeah, and I like that. There we go. And next what I am going to do is I'm going to think of a color for the background, and I think because the eyes are blue, and I don't want to use green, I think, oh my goodness, it looks like I need that to be a clipping group. Oh no, what drawing pen, what are you doing? Please work the way you're supposed to work. Thank you. Goodness gracious. Now I can finish that background color. And there you have it. There you have it. Another dragon drawing. And if I can get my drawing pen to actually work so I can move it off the screen for you guys. Goodness gracious. Wow. Thank you. Here is my new green dragon. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.